This is Carleton E. Watkins, 19th century landscape photographer. Carleton Watkins, born and raised in Oneonta, New York, was lured by the opportunities of the California gold rush. He met and traveled with Collis Huntington, who later became one of the big four of the Transcontinental Railroad to California. After arriving to the West in 1851, Watkins was then employed by Huntington in Sacramento to travel and deliver supplies to mining operations. Although this job didn't last long due to the Sacramento fire that happened in 1852, after working in Sacramento, Watkins set off his journey to becoming a professional photographer. Watkins first worked as an outdoor camera operator for several established photographers such as Robert Vance, who had an art gallery near a bookstore where Watkins worked as a clerk. Later on, Watkins worked for various of jobs that involved photography as well, such as commissions for publishers and individuals. He produced photographs for evidence for the courts and also documented mining estates for John Fremont in Mariposa County and their estate located back in Black Point. In 1861, Watkins traveled to Yosemite with a mammoth plate camera that had an 18 by 22 inch glass plate negative along with his stereoscopic camera. This mammoth plate camera was custom built and it was huge. There, he traveled with a pack of mules along with his equipment and took many photos of Yosemite. He then later returned with 30 mammoth plates and dozens of stereoscopic negatives. These images of Yosemite made him famous for landscape photography, but these all very same images of Yosemite also influenced the United States Congress to pass a legislation on protecting Yosemite, thus establishing national parks to preserve the beauty of these landscapes. Watkins in 1863 were selling stereo views of Yosemite, New Almaden mining region, the Mendocino coast, and San Francisco. The Eastern firm pirated his images, and after he took notice in 1867, he copyrighted his work. The stereo views were printed with copyrighted dates on mounts with the imprint titles and numbers. These stereo views were numbered within the series of Yosemite, the first one being Starting Out Yosemite, 1861, the second being Yosemite Falls, 2,630 feet, in 1861, Cathedral Rocks, numbered 1008, Coulterville Trail, numbered 3001. This particular image of Half Dome is aesthetic. You can see the white sky, as it is common in the early days of photography. Watkins also didn't sandwich negatives as he liked the pure view of the image. In 1871, Watkins moved his studio number to 2226 Montgomery Street, located near one of the largest competitors, Thomas Houseworth. Watkins named the establishment Yosemite Art Gallery. There, he also sold his Yosemite stereo views and mammoth plates. Later on, due to unfortunate events, Watkins eventually loses his art gallery and his negatives to J.J. Cook and I.W. Tabor during the financial crisis. And these very same art gallery images that he lost were also published by Tabor and sold as his own work. Although Watkins was hit by a major setback, he began to rebuild his inventory of negatives by revisiting locations he photographed before in 1860s. He then called these views Watkins' new series. As you can see in this photo stereo view, Watkins re-photographed the same location that he took previously, but except this one was sold by Tabor because he lost his work during the financial crisis. Over the next 10 years, Watkins photographed much of California and western states, eventually publishing more than 2,300 new series titles. Subjects include the Central Pacific Railroad, Sierra Nevada mining, Lake Tahoe, big trees, Virginia cities, South California, Arizona, the public Northwest, Yosemite, Yellowstone, and of course San Francisco. This slide in particular is titled Indian Chief. He was with a commissioner of Santa Fe in New Mexico. It was published by Tabor, but it was photographed by Watkins. Later on in his life, around the mid-1890s, Watkins' eyesight started to deteriorate. He also suffered other health problems, thus impacting his ability to work further. The 1906 earthquake also destroyed Watkins' studio along with the negatives of his life's work. Watkins later died at the age of 87 in 1916. Although his negatives are lost, his prints still exist today in many private institution collections.